Okay, so guys, I used to dislike multi-server MMOs before, and I think you heard me say that many times whenever I review MMOs, especially mobile ones. I didn't really like the usual server setup in early mobile MMOs, like new servers kept popping up every week. Because back then, what usually happened behind the scene was players who started late or players who missed 2 or 3 days progress. Instead of catching up, they just moved to the next new server, and the older server slowly became a ghost town, and that slowly destroyed the MMO vibe for me. Because for me, what makes an MMO is there's this one world, one shared economy, one political landscape for all players. So when servers keep splitting, it feels divided, like every server feels temporary and it kind of feels less meaningful. But if you look at it now, especially in 2026, the way developers design multi-server system, just like Rohan 2, it actually has a purpose. Like first, they make the game friendlier for new players. They give new communities space to grow, like they prevent new players from being instantly dominated and bullied by veterans or whales who already controlled everything in the server. So from a fairness perspective, multi-servers make sense. And also guys, this is actually where the upcoming Leap update becomes more interesting, because Dark Leap is basically a cross-server war or cross-server invasion. So instead of server just being separate worlds that never interact, they now function more like a nation inside a larger universe. Like each server becomes something like a city or maybe a country, and during Dark Leap seasons, you compete against other nations or other cities or basically other servers, and that changes the feeling completely, because now even if the game has multiple servers, there is still a larger shared battlefield, there's still a bigger political structure forming. It's not isolated anymore, instead it's layered. So in a way, multi-server actually gives fairness, and Dark Leap brings that rivalry, and that combination actually solved the problem I used to complain about before. And if you dive deeper into the Dark Leap patch notes, there are some interesting details that we need to dissect here. So in the patch notes, they say Dark Leap is a competitive content mode that allow players to experience cross-server competition and strategic battles. Now, that actually sounds simple, but the keyword here is competitive. So this is not just an ordinary event, not side content, not casual PvP. This is competitive. That means this is most likely ranking driven, points driven, and reward driven. This is not just chaos for fun. This is structured war. Then also they mention it operates on a seasonal basis. So this part is actually very important. Seasonal means it has a start, it has an end, and it likely has rewards tied to performance within that window. So this is not a permanent cross-server invasion, it's more controlled, and that's actually smart, because imagine if cross-server was permanent, strong servers could permanently dominate weaker ones. So seasonal design basically gives room for reset, for strategy, for preparation of each server before war. So it kind of creates that cycle, like preparation then war, and this kind of cycle I believe are healthy for MMO ecosystems. And they also mention here, during each season, players can freely transfer to opposing servers for a limited time. Now this is where it actually becomes interesting. This free transfer, even if this is just temporary, this already changes everything, because again, normally servers are like walls, like you cannot just move into another one casually, but during Dark Leap, those walls will open. That means you can invade, you can scout, you can maybe disrupt farming, you can pressure enemy guilds, and that actually creates real server identity. Like your server is not just a queue number system anymore, it becomes something you represent. Then here they clarify, players can invade other servers within the match server group or defend their own server. So here, notice the wordings match server group. This is important, guys. This is basically suggests something like a balance mechanism. So they're not just throwing a brand new server against a 2-year-old whale dominated server. At least that's the intention. So if matching is done properly, this could create better competition, and if not, then strong cluster will just dominate. So I think the success of Dark Leap update really depends on this one, their matchmaking balance. And finally, they also mention here, players can earn Dark Leap exclusive points and receive rewards based on the result. Well, this statement just confirms something like this content is not just for fun. Instead, there are points, there are rankings, there are rewards, and for sure, rewards here are related to something like a coin that you can also exchange for real money. And you already know this, guys. Once rewards and real money are involved, player behavior changes, right? You know, like guilds optimize more, players min-max more, whales invest more, and when competition increases like this one, the whole ecosystem reacts, like the market shifts to aggressive mode, like the demand for resources rises, which means even casual players of this game who just play to farm and gather can actually benefit. So Dark Leap is not just a PvP content, it can indirectly affect the whole game's economy too. Now, from my perspective, this is actually the part where multi-server design becomes meaningful. Before, I disliked multi-server because it felt divided, but with something like this, like Dark Leap, servers become like nation inside a larger system, like you grow locally and you compete globally. So that layer design make more sense, and I think that's what make this update more interesting, not just the war itself but the direction of the game system. Alright, so guys, that's it for today's MMO discussion with Rohan 2. Again, thank you for watching, and whatever you guys are playing right now, happy gaming.